Hello everyone, my name is HideousTuber and welcome back to my YouTube channel. Today we are doing episode 3 of the 100 Baby Challenge. Now I didn't upload a video last week because I started back at university, but we are back trying to continue on with 100 Baby Challenge. Last time where we left off, we just gave birth to our third child and our third boy. Okay, we don't want to be getting, I feel like she's getting attached too much to this hospital here. Alright, we are going to be inviting Marcus over now, since he is going to be the new donor for the 100 Baby Challenge. So, since the matriarch is no longer pregnant, we are able to use the next donor to be able to become pregnant with our fourth child, which is exciting. Put your thoughts in the comments below, whether or not you think it's going to be a boy or a girl. Honestly, I feel like we're going to have a ton of boys before we even have a girl, so it's going to be interesting. Alright, the sooner we start this process and get it done, the quicker. We will deal with the children in a second. You guys are rioting, I think. I don't know what these kids are doing. Alright, so going forward a little bit, we invited our next donor over. Just gonna tell Marcus, and then we are sending him home. It didn't end up working, so we've had to try to go back to looking after the children. We're gonna have him getting in the way with both Aiden and our second child getting in the way, and then having to retry again, which thankfully the second time around did officially work. But at this point, I'm starting to get very frustrated with the children because, like, they are getting in the way. Okay, then hopefully once morning comes, we can... Okay, it's 5, okay. You need to go to the potty. Alrighty, so great news. Aiden has finally reached level 3 in body, which means he has reached level 3 in every single one of his skills so far, which means he is now eligible to become a child. Woohoo! Hey Google, pick up a number between 1 and 4.
Here's a random number, 1.
Alright, so we're going with creativity. So obviously when picking our skills, the wiki does say you have to have it set to random. There we go. So it's aspirations. I just go into Google, ask it to pick a random number. In the child's case, it's 1 through 4. So you pick a number. So you get them to pick a number between 1 and 4. Obviously, in this case, it picked 1, which is the creative trait. Which obviously, with the art lover skill, it honestly works really well with Aiden, because he seems to be becoming a very artsy sort of person. So we'll see where we go with Aiden. But I am happy he's a child because I feel like putting children and teenagers are a lot easier to handle than toddlers and babies. But I guess that is pretty much just me. So what could it be intersecting? Besides maybe the toddler. Also, I am going to put the rules for the Sims 4 100 Baby Challenge into the description below. So for those who want to go and check out the rules for the Sims 4 and all of the previous versions of the Sims, the link will be in the description below. Alright, since now Aiden is now a child, we now need to update the child's bedroom. Since before we really only had toddler beds, and since Aiden can no longer fit into a toddler bed, we now need to make room for the fact that he has to have a normal sized bed or a child and up bed. So I decided to go with bunk beds because I feel like, okay, there we go. In the long run, having like a few bunk beds in one room sleep may end up working a bit better than having like multiple, like only having a couple of beds per bedroom and having to build multiple. Before you go to sleep, I'll get you to put like a handful of children so no one eats it. So I reckon if I can maybe have 4 children per bedroom, maybe that might work out a bit better. But we may need to compromise a bit since we are and probably will be short on money for the time being. Have to just shove everyone into one room for the time being. Oh, so he actually doesn't start school till Monday. What's the time? 7:30. Alright, so we can, in theory, get rid of him. Add someone else. Alright, since we're getting a bit further along in the pregnancy, we might as well try to at least somewhat set up the next donor for the 5th baby, because that way, by the time the 4th baby arrives, we are pretty much ready to go for the 5th one, and we pretty much try not to waste all that much time in between the process of like just giving birth and then having to retry and flirt with someone in the bachelor's group. So I feel like probably around the 2nd and 3rd trimester, maybe like the most optimal time to be able to try and flirt someone before our matriarch gives birth. Okay, we'll start flirting because that way we can at least get somewhat prepared. If it doesn't work, we can kick him out. Rule him out for the moment.
Bobby Freno. Sawada Habimi. Laskanaya. Tenebim.
Lampim.
Skeebs Zapula, huh? Moochie Peachy? Go on. Oh. Yana?
Machona. Bobo.
Uniata, huh? Uniata.
We can buy club perks. How many points do we have? 267. That's not too bad. Alright. So we will set up Aiden. Oh, yeah, it was Aiden. Aiden up for the drama club. So since Aiden is now a child, he can also just needs a drawing table school activities and as well as complete his childhood aspirations. From what I've read of the rules, you don't have to complete the aspirations to age up the child or anything. I just want to try and like give Aiden something to do, just so he's not constantly in the way trying to get in the way of the younger children and working towards stuff that he needs to get prepared for when he becomes a teenager and eventually moves out. Okay. I might eventually just put all the honestly, young he can And then the only difference I made on this lot is that I replaced one of the paintings with a mural setup so that the matriarch could start working on the mural, because one of Aiden's aspiration goals was to view a mural, and I know there's somewhere in San Myshuno, and I couldn't remember where it was, so we just went to the art gallery for simplicity, and where there was a mural. But because I couldn't find it, I decided just to use an art gallery and make a mural there, since it's more modern. You would think there would be like a mural or something there. And so I decided to have the matriarch start painting, because that way it gets her a little bit closer to level 10 painting. And there was a section on the top floor where there was some musical instruments, so I decided to have Aiden start playing the keyboard, since that was really the only thing at that particular time that he could play until, you know, some other stuff happened. Alright, it's almost Kayla's birthday, so we can... So I feel like this is sort of the main big event that has happened outside of the household that anyone has really experienced, which is the random mixologist lady kind of passing away of old age while at work at this modern museum. The matriarch is still working on the mural, periodically passing out because she's just that exhausted because she hasn't slept in a while. And here's Aiden just having to kind of experience it all on his own, which is honestly kind of unfortunate. Okay. So we can put it in our inventory. We can take the grave, put it somewhere. So after the art gallery, we kind of came back to the house. The matriarch was trying to get a little bit of sleep, as well as look after a baby, a toddler, and Aiden. And so she was still very much exhausted, and about 12:30, after still being incredibly exhausted, really needing to go to the bathroom, she has finally gone into labor. I know the past couple of times she has given birth, she hasn't invited the spouse to the hospital because of after Travis kind of leaving very quickly. After they arrived, she obviously decided not to bother. But this time she decided to invite Felix along just to see if things would turn out any sort of differently. So basically, Travis has freaked out a little bit and has run away from the whole situation, which has left the matriarch to give birth to her 4th child. Again, all on her own, besides getting the help from the nurses at the hospital. What am I on? 1,200. I need to buy more electronics anyway. It's just expensive. Alright, this is a D name. Oh. Finally, a baby girl. And of course, for the first time this season, we have officially given birth to a baby girl, which we have decided to name Dakota. because that honestly was the first name to come into my head. So when we give birth to the next baby, it would be an E name, then F, G, H, I, etc., until we get to Z. And then obviously, because that's 26 letters in the alphabet, we'll then go back to A once we get to the end of the alphabet, and then kind of re-go down that list again. But honestly, I am so happy that we have gotten at least one girl so far. But I have a feeling that the fact that we've had her kind of a bit earlier in the piece, trying to get another girl like right before she becomes an elder is going to be so important, because I have a feeling by the time that Dakota becomes a young adult, I have the feeling that if and when she becomes a young adult, we'll be losing a fair bit of time between her becoming a young adult and then our first matriarch becoming an elder. So I reckon we'll lose like a big chunk of time just in between that period, because I feel like when children aren't in the household, they kind of age up a bit quicker. So it's kind of difficult to optimize with that. So I reckon we'll have to essentially keep tabs, or at least try and have another girl right before our matriarch becomes an elder. Okay. Get some leftovers. Alright, we are also now back home after giving birth to Dakota. And I feel like this is where things start to really get sort of chaotic at the moment.
You can sleep for a little bit.
Mainly because we have both Caleb and Dakota as babies. Then we have our second eldest as a toddler, which between the three of them alone makes things really hard to manage, especially with the matriarch's kind of sleep schedule, because I feel like one baby is starting to cry, and then like you sort them out, and then you go back to bed to try and go to sleep, and then the other one starts crying, so then you've got to get back out of bed, go back in there, sort them out, and then go back to bed. And I feel like
maybe have a
at this part of the episode, you're starting to see that it's starting to get very chaotic during this sort of part of the episode, because there's a lot going on. You've got to worry about getting the toddler to level 3 in all skills. You've got to you've got to last until the baby's birthdays are here, and then you've got like a whole bunch of other stuff, and then you've got to worry also about the child starting to get good grades, even though Aiden hasn't had a chance to go to school yet. Just trying to get him prepared for Monday is also very hard, and having him home is also very hard. So I have a feeling that trying to find stuff for the kids to do while they're home, especially during like the holidays and stuff, gets very hard, because sometimes you find that they try to help with the babies even though you've cued the matriarch to do things, and because the kids are in the way, it just makes things that little bit harder.
3.
Alright, got a motor kid. Alright. Alrighty, so it is now our second child's birthday. We are aging him up into a child. So as per usual, we randomly re-rolled. We randomly rolled, to see what skills and his aspirations and all that will be, because it has to be random. And so with that, at the moment we are sitting at 2 children and 2 babies, which I feel like can also be very chaotic, because you've got two children who aren't quite yet teenagers, and so they're trying to help as best as they can, like trying to help, like calm the babies down and like trying to help. And then here's the matriarch who has to pretty much queue up whatever she has to do to make sure these babies are looked after. And like if you're not paying attention to the children enough, they're here interrupting that process altogether, which makes things really hard. Stupid kid. Alright, so going forward a little bit, we invited our next donor over. We tried for a kid once, it didn't end up working, so we've had to try to go back to looking after the children, with him getting in the way, with both Aiden and our second child getting in the way, and then having to retry again, which thankfully the second time around did officially work. But at this point I'm starting to get very frustrated with the children because like they are getting in the way. I gotta do shit. Which I feel like they're trying to help as much as possible, but in the end of the day they're getting in the way more than doing good. So I feel like we need to try and maybe do some other stuff with them and like try and get them out of the house a little bit more than what we are, which is a lot. Alrighty, I'm gonna finish off the episode here before things get any more chaotic in this household. I hope you guys do enjoy the episode. If you guys did, don't forget to hit the like button down below. And if you're not already subscribed to my channel, please do consider subscribing. It does help a lot. I'll be back next week with a new episode. I do hope to see you guys next week, and I will see you guys all then. Goodbye!